Probably some of the most famous Quake speedruns are the segmented runs done by the Quake Done Quick team. Dating all the way back to 1997, these projects were always group efforts from the top players of the time who spent days, weeks, or months optimizing each individual level and then joining these runs together to make a perfect full-game speedrun. Over Quake's 25-year history, there have been many Quake Done Quick releases covering 80% and 100% runs on both easy and nightmare skill. I love the way these projects act as a kind of time capsule, showing who the top players were and the overall standard of Quake runs during a particular era. If you look at them chronologically, you can really watch the evolution of Quake speedrunning. For example, the very first project, which was simply called Quake Done Quick, was an 80% run on nightmare skill, clocking in at 19 minutes and 49 seconds. 14 years later, in 2011, the fourth release in this category, Quake Done Quickest, had brought this time down by more than 8 minutes. Even just at a casual glance, you can see how much the style of play had evolved over these years, with mastery of movement, boosts, and tricks. The easy 100% category was also covered by two projects during the early golden age of Quake. First, there was Quake Done 100% Quick Light in 1998 with a time of 42 minutes and 25 seconds. 8 years later, this time was smashed by nearly 9 minutes for the sequel project, unsurprisingly titled Quake Done 100% Quick Light 2. I've talked about this in other videos, but the Quake scene was dormant for many years in the first half of the 2010s. Most of the top players had stopped playing, and most of them believed that there wasn't a whole lot of room left for further optimization of the various runs. Players were bold or maybe foolish enough to use superlatives like quickest in their projects, which in the world of speedrunning is often asking for trouble. It wasn't until later that decade that the next generation of Quake runners started smashing records using new techniques, especially power bunny hops, which revolutionized the game and opened up almost every single old record to be improved. In 2018, Jukebox, who was probably the best player in the game at the time, started tackling individual 100% records, including beating the first level of each of Quake's 4 episodes. Seeing how much room for improvement was still left in Quake, he eventually convinced other top players to start a new Quake Done Quick project. 2 years later, the team released this absolute monster of a run, Quake Done 100% Quickest Light. I can safely say, as someone who has watched just about every Quake demo out there, and having recorded some of the demos for the previous 2006 project, that this 2020 release is simply insane. I know those kinds of words get thrown around a lot in speedrunning, but there's just no better way to describe it. The new runners shaved 4 minutes and 13 seconds off a project which was already the culmination of years of work from the previous generation's top players. I was a little surprised that this project didn't reach a particularly wide audience. It seemed to fly under the radar compared to other Quake Done Quick releases. Of course, getting a lot of attention is never really the goal of speedrunning. What we do is extremely niche and mostly done just for our own sense of challenge and entertainment. But given the popularity of some of the previous Quake projects, and considering how mind-bogglingly good the gameplay is in this new run, I thought it could deserve a bit more credit and analysis. 100% demos are relatively long by Quake standards, but not a single one of the 1,760 seconds in this run goes to waste. If there was an optimization to be made, no matter how difficult it was, and no matter how much luck was involved, the team went for it. It really is half an hour of the best Quake gameplay ever recorded. A run like this also requires an incredible amount of planning, because the stats from each level carry over to the next. So you need to consider ammo and health conservation, or choosing a slightly slower route on one level, maybe grabbing an extra weapon or ammo in order to allow for bigger shortcuts or time saves later on. I obviously can't explain every single thing going on in these runs, but I wanted to go through the maps one by one and just very briefly point out some of my personal favourite moments, as well as a few things that the average viewer might miss. There's a text file accompanying the full release with detailed comments from each of the runners, which is really worth a read if you want to get some more information. So here we go. In the first level of the game, there aren't any opportunities to boost yourself or perform crazy tricks, so it's just a matter of executing perfect bunnies and making every shot count. I like this pixel-perfect shot of the secret button while Jukebox is standing on a fast-moving platform, and this curling slope jump to the Mega Health secret is nice as well. This demo might look relatively simple and straightforward, but Jukebox said in the text file that it was one of the most frustrating demos he had ever recorded, and that it took him thousands of attempts to get all the necessary luck with the enemy's movements. This is also the first of many demos which utilize a nail gun intermission kill at the end. I've made another video about this, but even just that trick alone means that 75% of all attempts fail once the actual run is finished due to getting the wrong intermission screen. I made a full video about Peter Horvath's legendary demo on this map from the year 2000. The fact that Jukebox was able to improve it at all, even after nearly 20 years, is still astonishing to me. It took him a couple of months just to improve Peter's demo by half a second. This demo just has non-stop grenade boosts and ridiculous trick shots. This run required a ton of luck as well. Right at the beginning, you can just hear the first knight getting crushed in the distance by the lowering platform near the map's entrance. This trick only has a tiny chance of success. And grenade shots like these in this hallway are just a matter of shooting and praying that they hit their target so that you can finish them off later in the run. This is one of the biggest single improvements in the run, and the whole thing is crazy. It has the fun combination of low gravity, quad damage, and invincibility, meaning Jukebox can squeeze in a total of 13 quad damage rocket boosts. This kind of accuracy at these speeds is just unbelievably difficult to perform. The first run from Chambers in this project is another whirlwind of multiple quad rocket boosts, except here he had to be very careful with health management. Getting boosts like these without blowing yourself up requires perfect accuracy throughout the run. Yet another run with basically non-stop rocket boosts. It might also win the prize for the run which is the most different from the standard or intended route. Chambers basically plays the whole level in reverse, which I think is kind of cool. This was the only map which wasn't improved for the project, but only because the demo is 11 seconds long. That was the one demo that the players in 2006 had managed to optimize. Still, Chambers shaved a few extra tenths of a second off the previous run and made it look perfectly smooth. Jukebox says that this is the 100% demo he's the most proud of, and I can see why. It's one of my favorite demos in the game as well. Just a ton of perfect control with the grenade launcher through tight and narrow corridors. It also has a very neat intermission kill, throwing this grenade and hoping it catches the last enforcer after hitting the intermission screen. This demo has another hidden trick at the start where the extending bridge crushes a fiend who just happens to jump in exactly the right place. You can just hear the fiend dying as Jukebox drops into the water. This grenade jump setup and sequence is really neat too. This demo has some great flashy tricks like this double grenade jump near the beginning. But you might also miss some of the subtle things on a first watch, like this incredibly tight grenade shot through this tiny gap in the window. Those kinds of shots are really difficult to do while moving around at full speed. This is another run that apparently took months of attempts before everything lined up perfectly. Lots of great boosts, and the enemies in the final room almost never clump together like they do here. Having to do the whole level perfectly before relying on extreme luck at the very end of the level makes it a very frustrating process. Another perfect Jukebox run. This grenade shot through the tiny window makes me laugh because I know from experience how accurate you need to be to hit the zombie in the room above. And here he does that shot in the middle of a quad grenade boost he sets up through the corridor, moving so fast that you can't even see the grenade being fired. This sequence of really tight rocket boosts through narrow rooms is also pretty ridiculous. Lots of quad rocket boosts here and very fine health management throughout the run. It also utilizes the lightning gun bug for the first time in this project. It's a strange physics glitch in Quake where you can kill enemies at bizarre angles through walls by aiming at extremely specific points in the map. Sometime I'd like to do a video on this bug, but first I need to understand it better myself. This demo is the biggest time saver in the entire run, an astonishing 39-second improvement over the previous project. This demo again uses the lightning gun bug to kill the Vor at the very end of the map, revealing the rune much earlier. You can see here that the end room is already completed by the time the player arrives. This must have been an absolute nightmare to plan because there are seemingly endless route options, especially in this area where you need to work around an elevator moving at fixed intervals between the different floors of the map. Another of Jukebox's individual level runs, which served as the inspiration for the project. It has all the flawless movement we've come to expect. Check out this ending sequence where he maintains constant power bunnies through extremely narrow corridors and takes out multiple enemies along the way. There's more next generation optimized movement here. The tricks aren't new to this project, but they're still pretty impressive, like this quad grenade boost through a very small gap. And this bouncing shot off the wall and boosting out of the lava pit. Jukebox said he was stuck on this map for 4 to 5 months, And I'm not too surprised by that, given the luck involved with all the enemies in tight spaces. I love some of the really tricky grenade jump setups in this level. This is the first map with the rocket launcher in episode 3. And Elgu doesn't waste any time putting it to use. This sequence here with lots of curling rocket boosts is one of the highlights for me. This is another really cramped level where Jukebox still manages to squeeze in a surprising number of boosts. This little sequence here is really tricky, where he gets under the descending elevator just before it blocks him. I think this is also another demo where not even a single nail is wasted. Elgu said he had crazy good luck while getting this run, and that it didn't take him too long. That's pretty surprising to me, given all the tricks involved. This section is absolutely awesome. He does a backwards quad boost, takes out the Death Knight while curling backwards around the corner, then hits another ogre with a grenade bounced off the wall. Elgu's notes in the text file capture the feeling of this map pretty well, so I'm just going to read it. Oh god, where do I start? I spent so long on this map alone. This is the most solid map I've managed to pull off. That quad boost into the gold key, hitting the rockets, lightning bug with 3 cells left over, and that quad boost with minimal health into the end while not getting killed by Hell Knights. Pure pain. But I got it in the end. Proud of this one. I like that description. This was the oldest demo to make it into the project, recorded back in 2018. Still lots of tricky movement and super accurate nail gun shots, including a neat double intermission kill. Lots of fun moving shots and long distance nail gun kills in this demo. There might not be any super unique tricks, but it's still a really impressive display of control and aim. Jukebox says this demo took a few months to get as well, which is almost a relief for me to hear, because I did the demo on this map for the previous project, and I was quite proud of it all the way back in 2006, even though my demo was 6 whole seconds slower. The route stayed mostly the same, with lots of quad grenade boosts through the long hallways, but the modern movement and small optimizations let Jukebox push it all the way down to this crazy time. To quote the text file again, 13 seconds was shaved off through nothing but optimized boosts, health management, and power-up usage. This is a big, wide open map with a huge number of route possibilities. I love the opening sequence of this run, with 2 double grenade jumps in a row, using a fiend and then a knight. This one is just Jukebox continuing his domination of episode 4. This super accurate quad grenade jump is really tough to pull off when you don't have much health. There's also another use of the lightning bug, taking out zombies who are hiding in a little closet kind of room. And this is another demo relying on the 1 in 4 chance to get the right intermission screen for the final couple of kills. Peter's old demo in this map from the previous project was one of my favourite runs of all time, and it's still spectacular to watch today. But Sphere discovered that with liberal use of the lightning bug, The route could be completely reworked. This was the only demo I was almost a little sad about, just because Peter's old demo was so special. But Jukebox did it justice and produced something just as amazing, with loads of crazy boosts and flawless execution. The last of Jukebox's demos for this project, and it's yet another spectacle of ridiculously fast boosts and pinpoint accuracy. Check out the precision of some of these quad boosts, it's just insane. Chambers can use the rocket launcher just as well as anybody else in the game, and he shows it with this run. Just constant boosting throughout. This end sequence of successive quad rocket jumps through the halls is awesome, and I didn't realize until reading the text file that the pentagram of protection runs out on the exact frame after he makes the last boost to the exit. A single frame later and he would have died from the explosion. This demo had already been optimized back in 2007. There's a strict limit to how early you can enter the teleporter to kill the final boss. Even though he didn't yet have a demo in this project, Sphere had done a ton of work and planning for various runs, and he came up with a lot of unique ideas. So the rest of the team encouraged him to submit at least one demo for the project. In the text file, he calls himself a mediocre player, but he's only being humble. Since this project was released, Sphere has produced a bunch of killer runs, and is up there with the best players these days. So that's the project. Every level, every kill, and every secret in the game in 29 minutes and 20 seconds. It really is, in my opinion, one of the greatest runs ever produced by the Quake community, and I hope this video helped to highlight what an insane achievement it is. While there might be a theoretical second to save here and there throughout the run, it's safe to say this project will stand the test of time as one of the peaks of Quake speedrunning. Thanks for listening, and see you later.